Alright, here we are again with our transparent 1024 square texture. And this time we're going to create some grass. Now we want grass that will sit on top of the earth blocks that we made and cover up that edge a little bit so it's not so stark. And then we also want some pieces of grass that we can just place on our level along with the grass attached to our blocks, just to break things up. Maybe we want some grass that's in front of a rock or a tree, and maybe a piece that's behind it, just to give some depth. So we're going to create two different sets of grass. Now we're going to create them both on this texture, and later you'll see why in Nelson's videos for Unity, where we can cut this texture up so that they're two different pieces. But we're going to bring it in for now all on one. There's a couple things we have to do. Now, we're using a 1024 texture, so I've set a hard brush and I've set to a size of about 20. And that's all well and good. So I'm going to make a new layer again. I'm going to come up to my layer mode, or to my brush mode, not my layer mode, and I'm going to set it to lighter color. And we'll see why in a little bit. I don't want it on normal. And I'm going to go to my hard brush settings, this little setting right here, and it's not going to have any of this stuff going on. I'm going to make sure my spacing's pretty low, somewhere down around 10%. My hardness is at 100. I'm going to click on Shape Dynamics and turn that on, and this is where it gets interesting. We're going to set our control to fade, and we're going to set that size to about 120, and that's what'll give you this shape down here. And then we're going to click on Color Dynamics and turn that on, and we're going to set it to fade. We're going to make sure Apply Per Tip is on. We're going to set our Color Dynamics at half of whatever our Shape Dynamic size is. So we were at 120, so we're at 60. We got it? Alright, we're good to go. So we've got everything ready to go. Close that up. Now, we're going to pick an area that's about 25% from the top, and that's around the line we're going to work with. And then we're also going to pick one that's around 25% from the bottom, and that's the other line we're going to work with. And it doesn't have to be super exact, but we want to be close. Now, you'll see what happens here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and you just take it and kind of flick it up with a little bit of curve to it. It'll take a little bit of practice, but just keep playing around, delete it as you need to, and you'll get to it. And we're going to do this, and you see that it goes, because we set our fade, it goes from our dark color to our light green. And I guess I should have told you about the greens I picked. Let's go down and take a look. I've got my dark color set fairly dark. I want a pretty good separation between these two. This one's pretty high. And also it's important that the dark color be on top, because we want it to start with this and fade to the background color. So if you're getting the opposite of that, that's what it is. You got to switch your palette. So we've got this, as you can see, and that's all well and fine. And we can do some more of these. Just kind of zig them around. And it's not really, you're not really seeing the effect of what's going on yet. That's okay, we're going to see it in a second. Now if we take these down a little bit lower and with our start, you're going to see why we've switched this over to lighter color. As we go down here, you'll see anytime a lighter color on our brush goes through a darker color, Photoshop makes sure that the lighter color gets painted on top. That's what that does for us. So we're just going to keep painting like this. And we're going to paint this until we've got a nice row of grass. We're going to get pretty thick. I'm going to pause the video and jump ahead, and then we'll see what this looks like after a little bit of time is invested in it. Alright, there we go. We've got our 2 lines painted out, and you can see I painted just like you saw for my top one. This will be my grass to stick in front of trees or rocks or whatever, just to give some depth. And then down here I did exactly the same thing, except I chose a middle line and painted in both directions. This will be what sits right on top of our stone, wherever our little character is running, and kind of hides the seam of the top of the stone, wherever we want it to. And you can fill that in as much as you like. The 2 important things to note are, when I got to the edges, I didn't paint off the canvas anywhere. Because remember, this transparency won't show up, so this will just sit right on top of that block right there. That's fine. And then they will just link together. And the same here. Now as I did this, it did occur to me that if I sat this on top of this grass, that it would fill it out a little bit more, but the heights were about the same. So there's a couple things you can do. You can either repaint that by adjusting the heights of your shape and color, like it's at 120. Maybe we want it taller up here, so we'll start with 150 or something like that, 180, and cut our color in half to whatever size we used, and make it really big in the center. And then as we paint outward, we can keep adjusting that down until it gets really small, so we get kind of a clump of grass in an arc. Now I can go back and redo that, and I probably will, but I want to try a little experiment, see if this works. I haven't actually done this outside of class, so I'm going to grab this over my grass here, and I'm going to make a selection with my marquee tool. I'm going to hit Control T on that selection. I'm going to pull this down, make all that a little taller than my grass, and then I'm going to warp it a little bit. Something like that. I'm going to hit Enter. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is when I warped it, it really kind of made my bottom line a little jaggedy. So we can take our selection tool right here. I'm just going to grab that. Once I've got it pulled out, I can use my arrow keys to edge it up to where I want to be. It's going to be somewhere right around, well, we're about to pass through right here. So for now, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to hit Delete. I'm going to edge it up just a little bit more, I think. I'm going to hit Delete again. Control D to deselect that. And there, now we have a nice big grass patch that's just a little bit different than the one we're using at the bottom. I think that'll work out nice. So once again, we're going to save these out as our target files, and then we will move on to the next video. See you there.